Would that be a good move?
Yesterday, my reaction to it was not sure about it. But now I think about it, the more I think about it, it's almost like a reverse zero-sum game. He's got nothing to lose because it's already assumed that given the start they've got, that they're going to struggle to stay in this division. Given the challenges that he had at Chelsea, I still maintain the view I made, which is I think that, because I've made a direct parallel between Lampard and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, which has been ridiculed for some time, about I think Lampard will go on to be a better manager. I think if you put Lampard in charge of Manchester United, to be doing a slightly better job than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is. But in his capacity of rebuilding his career and rebuilding his reputation, of having been taken out of Chelsea, and Chelsea have gone stellar directly afterwards, which, by the way, is in part contributed to the pieces of the jigsaw that he put together that Thomas Tuchel arranged differently. So you've got to give some credit there. But I think with Norwich, it's a nice club. It's a nice board of directors. He'll be given a lot of support. They're a decent set of fans that give people their head. And I think it's a reasonable situation for Frank to earn the right to maybe build his career back at a pseudo-elite club. And when I mean pseudo-elite, Norwich will consider themselves to be one of the top 26 clubs in this country. I think they've made that statement themselves. And so with that in mind, whilst it's not elite, I don't think Frank Lampard is at an elite level. I think the Chelsea job came too early for him. The blueprint of the Chelsea job, I always said that Frank possibly shouldn't have gone there. When he was there, I wanted to be supportive of him, and I felt they took him out a little bit unfairly. But of course, time has gone on since then. But I think the Norwich job makes an interesting dynamic. If Stuart Webber is all he's cracked up to be, and by the way, his fingerprints are all over the lack of success right now, because he's been in part, and recruitment is almost like Rocco Forti's location to define success, and he's the guy that's in charge of recruitment. Yeah. So I don't know, and I don't think it's a bad fit. I think it probably, as I say, some sort of reverse zero-sum game where there's very little for either party to lose and a lot more for them to gain. Lampard brings a profile to Norwich. Lampard brings the ability to be able to draw a few players in that possibly he could pull out of Chelsea's youth team that maybe helped him at Derby and were beginning to help him a little bit at Chelsea because of his relationship with the setup inside Chelsea when he looked into the youth team because they couldn't buy players, allegedly. So I think, will he keep him up? I don't think anyone will keep him up.
Oh, you see, that's the thing. So why would he take the job then?
Because it's a building opportunity.
What good would it do?
Because it's a building opportunity. He's got to clear out what's there. And what's there isn't possibly good enough. He's got to put his own footprint across it, and he's got to be able to have a club that's capable of, if it goes down, coming straight back up again. Now, the association for Frank is he's got a relegation on his watch. But I think it's universally accepted for those that look at football inside the corridors of power that Norwich are not good enough for this division. And it doesn't matter if he's Harry Potter, he's not going to be able to work his magic to be able to change the direction. He might make them more competitive. He might make them punch a little bit harder. I don't think he's going to get them out of the current conundrum that they're in.
So, I mean, Simon, to be straight about it, if there's risk attached to this...
Yeah. He's not going to get another Premier League job. Where's he going to get one?
Why?
Because I don't think Frank is in a position to dictate to anybody that his track record details that he's good enough to manage a Premier League side. I think he needs to go back a step. He took a huge step forward. He went to Derby, and it was okay. It wasn't great. It was okay. They stole defeat from the jaws of victory in a playoff semi-final, and playoff final, and they had opportunities there, and they didn't take them. He went to Chelsea, didn't take the FA Cup when they could have won that game, did okay, and then got taken out. Tuchel's gone to another level to show you the difference in levels, because everything's about levels in sport. He's now got to take a big step back to say, okay, I'm going to rebuild, and I don't think Norwich is a bad outpost to go and rebuild, because the board are very supportive. No one would have given Daniel Farke the amount of time they gave him on the first season, second season, and the Premier League seasons that he's been at Norwich. So I think he can go there, build a team in his own image, be given proper support. If he gets them to 25, 26, 27, 29, 30 points this season, and they really punch to try and stay in the division, his reputation will be enhanced, because the start point is so low. If he then goes to the Championship and builds again and gets them promoted again, then he'll be Frank Lampard with all the lustre again.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I just keep on thinking, Simon, what's the point of taking the job if you know you're going to go down? And honestly,
because you take
not even Red Adair could get them out of that.
In life, sometimes you take one step back to take two steps forward. If you believe you're going to take one step backwards to take a further step back and a further step back, then that's no good. Yeah. But if you're going to take this one step back because you like the dynamic of the club, you like the ownership model, you like the support base, you believe there's a decent opportunity for you to rebuild the club. Daniel Farke hasn't made a Horlicks of it. He just hasn't been able to make it in the big leagues. And the change of voice will give, I think, Norwich a more competitive edge. But for Frank Lampard, where's Frank going to go?
Well, let me put
who's
this
going to take
you.
him as a Premier League manager?
Let's say Villa make
Besides
the move.
his uncle touting around
Let's
for every
say
job.
Villa make the move for Gerrard. Mm-hmm. And they get permission to speak to Gerrard. I know it's all theoretical, but
he could go to Rangers.
And Gerrard says, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Should Frank wait for that opportunity?
Possibly, but is that a blueprint? You know, Rangers took Steven Gerrard because it was Steven Gerrard. It isn't just a blueprint of saying, okay, we'll take these big-name ex-players. Steven Gerrard, clearly at interview stage, and given the model at Rangers at that particular time, and given the time that he was given, he came good. He didn't come good walking through the door. He came good in his third season.
Yeah.
And at that third season, and let's have it right, that third season also saw a massive decline in the competitivity of Celtic. Right? So with that in mind, we'll see, because Celtic look more competitive this season. We'll see how they run them to the line, and January 2nd might be the definer. Yeah. I genuinely don't think. I think Frank Lampard will be a manager. I think Frank Lampard will be a good manager, but I think he's not gone the right route. I think Chelsea was an opportunity that he couldn't resist because it was Chelsea, but it just was too big a job for him at that time.
And Norwich should be right at this time.
I think it's a good. I don't think it's perfect, but I think it's a decent opportunity. There's a lot more to it than just saying, he's jumping on board. You know, his tech chairs on the Titanic. You know, I think it's a little bit more than that.
I'm just wondering if Norwich needs more of a relegation specialist. I hesitate to say it, but Big Sam, should they not go for experience in a situation like the one they are in?
They're done. West Brom are done. Everybody knew that West Brom were done. Everybody knew, even Sam, if he's probably honest, everybody knew that his act, was economically driven to some extent. But the fact that Sam went into West Brom, everybody that had half a brain thought this is going to be the one that probably catches Sam out. Yeah. And it did. So you can't just keep on pulling these people out because they, once upon a time, Tony Pulis, Sam Allardyce, Steve Bruce, if you want to bring Steve into the equation, to fix the problem, because eventually they're going to run out of lustre. I think there's a reasonable, there's an ambition at Norwich to be a decent football club with decent front foot thinking. They've run aground with Farke. They gave him a lot of latitude, and they were incredibly supportive of him, because when he first walked through the door, I remember looking at him going, the hell is this? Right? And they were dreadful in the first season, but they backed him and they backed him and they backed him, and he eventually got them somewhere. Now they've got to find a way to take the next step, because Brentford seem to be able to take it. Brentford seem to have gone into the division and taken it. Norwich win the league at a canter and go in the Premier League and fail. So Lampard, I think, is a sensible fit for both parties.
Yeah. I could make the same argument about Eddie Howe. Having said that, I'm just thinking in my mind, when we're talking about Lampard going into Norwich and the strong possibility they'll go down, it's the same situation with Newcastle.
But come on. On the other side of the argument, we've been talking about Norwich. They didn't invest any money the first time it went up. They consolidate. These guys that own Newcastle... Yeah. What these other clubs spend can fall out of their pocket on the way to a game. Yeah. They've got more money than God. So there's no reality of Eddie Howe going into a club. If that takes a step backwards, it's going to be the wealthiest club outside of the Premier League that the Premier League has ever seen.
Jim White and Simon Jordan, Monday to Thursday morning, 10 till 1. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.